Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and of course, we are here live to talk about AEW Collision. That's right, the brand new show from All Elite Wrestling has just debuted, and it was quite jam-packed. So we've got a lot of things to go through tonight, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, yeah. So once again, welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We're here to talk about AEW Collision, a brand new show, as I said, from AEW. I'm sure you've heard all about it, and you're here to hear, my thoughts on it, or us from this channel at least. Thank you for those that have stopped by. Of course, the big story coming out totonight is the return of CM Punk, although it is one that we knew about already. Still an interesting thing to talk about because he said quite a few I guess inflammatory comments at the beginning of the show, and we'll touch on some of those, but we'll also touch on, of course, the rest of what Collision had to offer as well. So thank you to everyone that's joined us live or on demand. It is 3 a.m. here in the morning in the UK and a warm summer's night, but we are here to hopefully give you a little bit of a fun rundown of the show. So whether you're watching live or on demand, we really do appreciate that. Someone I know joining me live is Gary, who I know was trying really hard to get on here. A few issues with the link. Hopefully, it was sorted out now, and hopefully it isn't a problem for anyone else, and they can join us as well. But Gary, thanks for joining me, mate. Yeah, good show. It didn't blow me away, but I don't think it was designed to. I don't think it was ever really gonna. I think, if anything, I think wrestling fans get themselves hyped up for something like this quite a bit. I've been hyped. It's been in my calendar for a while, even when it was kind of hinted and rumored and not even official. I marked this off and I thought, I want to talk about it when it happens. Of course, all the rumors around CM Punk potentially coming back for it, and that was announced a few weeks ago on Dynamite, and here we are. He's back. So Gary says, I don't know too much about this show. Are you talking, Gary, about AEW in general or just about Collision? Of course, it was a brand new show for Collision, but I understand that there are going to be a lot of people that are tuning into AEW for the first time as well. So what we do, we'll go through the card. We'll go through kind of all the big moments that happen throughout the night. So again, whether you're watching on live or on demand, thanks a lot. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the show and what you think of AEW in general and going forward. It's an interesting time to be a wrestling fan, so that's why it's really fun to jump on here and continue with this content as well. So, of course, CM Punk opens the show much like not the debut, but what felt like the debut of Rampage, the second one, the big one that they did, which was kind of the biggest Rampage to date. Nothing's really happened since then, unfortunately, with that show. So it'd be interesting to see what happens going forward. But Collision seems to be the second show now, or first, depending on how AEW start booking it going forward. But a Saturday show nonetheless, and that's an interesting thing in itself. But anyway, opens up much like that Rampage did with CM Punk. It's a late night again, 3:10 in the morning here in the UK. CM Punk, he was wearing pink tonight, so there we go. Coming out and to a massive reaction. Yes, it was in Chicago, his hometown, but still a huge reaction for CM Punk. Overwhelmingly positive, a few F the Elite chants as well. There's going to be a bit of a, I guess, civil war between wrestling fans at the moment, between those two camps. And it's not just at the moment, it's been a past, 6 months, however long ago all this all-out stuff was. So, yeah, that's always going to happen. When you looked at the announcement the other week, there were a lot of people kind of booing CM Punk and trying to F CM Punk and stuff like that. I wouldn't say it was 50-50. I'll say it was a minority. And this time around, it was a minority that were against the Elite, but it was definitely a vocal majority that was just straight up cheering Punk. Whether you could take that as against the Elite, I don't know. But that's a whole kind of another thing. And I kind of hope this doesn't go much further than that at the moment, unless they're going to straight up make it storyline very quickly and they're all buddies behind the scenes. Because I want everyone to get along, but I want good drama on TV. I don't want these digs going back and forth. But anyway, that's pretty much what we get with CM Punk. First off, we get pretty much a babyface promo. By telling people like, this is why you like me, right? You know, like I'd say what I want, and I'm a bit of a rebel. And what was it? I've got a little note here. Joe Strummer trained me for this, yeah, because you know he's punk and outspoken and rebellious and stuff like that. Hey, Rebellious Noise, subscribe. But yeah, it was. I think it was the promo we needed to do. You know, they needed to touch on this behind the scenes stuff that really happened at All Out, but they couldn't go into non-kayfabe stuff too much because that's weird as well. So it needed to be acknowledged. They touched a good amount on the injury, which is what's actually kept him away for the most part. Would have happened regardless, you know, of what happened after that press conference. But it kind of needs to be mentioned, of course. He drops a few hints there, and I just think, oh, eggshells, man. Let's just let this one go, because that ESPN thing all week was getting all this drama. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Maybe ESPN covered up some of what was originally said, but it wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was going to be. And quite a bit of Punk's comments were about like kind of just, you know, getting older now. Let's just get on with it. Let's make money, blah, blah, blah. But he did make a few comments about Adam Page, of course, that did go viral. And now in this comments about the Bucks, one specifically, of course, where he said that David Zaslav, the president of Warner Brothers, calls him One Bill Phil, and because he's the true, genuine article in a business of counterfeit bucks. He says, of course, Bucks, surely referring there to the Young Bucks as well. So they straight away, or at least throughout the show, changed their bio to reference that, saying that in 2018 they would have basically had t-shirts for this. So that just shows a little bit of change on their part. But yeah, an interesting time, and I kind of hope it dies down. If it's not going to go into storyline, I just want this to be over and done with now. Like it's yeah, it is what it is. But it did, I got to be fair, it did need to be addressed somewhat kayfabe in the beginning of the show. So there we go. We got that. But a big part of CM Punk's promo as well was just the fact that, yeah, his character saying like, some people love me, some people don't. And it is where it is, sort of thing. But then even on that, he touched a little bit further. He said, I'm sorry that the only people softer than you are the wrestlers you like. Yeah, harsh. But there we go. I wonder if this stuff was, it's the same with the original Pipebomb. Was this approved? Were there things approved? Was it as kind of shoot promo as we all kind of assume it is? It's hard to tell, but for the good of people and just getting along as all mates as I want them to do, yeah, hopefully things are all right. But I mean, they're never going to be great, are they, between these guys, it seems. But there we go. I just don't want this kind of bickering to string out, and it'd be detrimental to the show or to the company, because AEW have done amazing things for the wrestling industry and for the careers of all of these guys. So, and they've been all, you know, great assets to the company as well. So let's hope that continues. And what we've seen in the last 6 months to a year kind of have gone against that. So anyway, getting back to the show itself, Gary says, yeah, new to AEW in general, and I wanted to ask a question, but it's not AEW, but it's in regards to Feed Me More. Hold on, we'll get to that in a sec. Also, yeah, CM Pink saying me, Ryback needs to come back, dude. Yeah, I mean, weirdly enough, there were a lot of rumors that Goldberg was going to show up tonight, and I even saw Dolph Ziggler making jokes about Goldberg and Ryback being a dream match or something like that. I don't know what Ryback's ever going to do, to be honest. But Goldberg, I know it's kind of been talked about as if he's going to have some sort of run outside of WWE if that's what's necessary, you know. So, and I think Tony Khan acknowledged it as well. So yeah, interesting. But Gary, yeah, good to hear that you're tuning into AEW. What made you tune in tonight, mate, rather than all the other times that you would have had an opportunity? Is it simply that Saturday night's a bit easier? But yeah, there we go. It's a good show. I'm enjoying AEW. I definitely think it dipped for a bit, but it's on its way back to where it was, and it's great to have these options, you know. And I think AEW makes, you know, we've got to mention it, WWE do better, and WWE make AEW do better, really, when there's all this kind of competition. Speaking of which, we got you know, the benefits of that throughout this night, when you see a lot of the stars coming back, such as Miro, Andrade, getting kind of prominent positions on this show, which we knew already. And I do think that was kind of a problem for the show. It wasn't kind of the kind of, you know, the thing we usually expect from an AEW big show, in the sense that we didn't get any surprises at all, from what I think. I mean, we had a title change, which is what comes next, of course. Christian helping Luchasaurus win the TNT title, which was cool. Luchasaurus getting kind of something to do going forward. Christian Cage continuing being a slimy little heel, and a nice little interesting dynamic between the two, where he's holding Christian up on his shoulders and Christian's holding the title as if he's won it. So let's just see where that goes. Surely, eventually, that's for Luchasaurus to turn here babyface on Christian or something like that. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But it was a decent little match. Good way to start things out as far as in-ring action goes. Andrade comes up next. Big chance of welcome back. Good to see him back in the ring. Of course, he's facing Buddy Matthews. I have to always remember what I'm trying to say there. Buddy Matthews. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. It's a match that we did see in NXT between the two of them, and it was interesting to look at this and see, wow, this is really where the wrestling world's gone. You know, NXT is not where it used to be, and two of the guys that were there are now working in AEW. Well, many of the guys are, don't get me wrong. Got Adam Cole, we've got Malachi Black, but there we go. Good match. Started about a bit slow. It seemed slow at one point, and the commentary dropped, and then I was like, hold on. Oh, this is what Fight TV do when they just go to ads and we just continue to watch the show. Kind of not, I mean, those rest spots and stuff like that, you know, that's what happens when you're watching it live in person. But it's really noticeable when you watch it on TV. It feels a bit dry as a match. Until it picks back up, Andrade has a few kind of sharp moments hitting Buddy in the face with that discus kind of was like an elbow. Looked like it legit knocked Buddy out. They had the spot where they were both kind of being checked on. And then of course there was a lovely kind of spike DDT, I think, from the ropes. And eventually Andrade would win with a figure 4 turned into, guess what? A figure 8, of course. His wife, wait, are they married or are they just, I can't remember. Charlotte's finisher, of course, Andrade doing that. I saw Charlotte mention Andrade on Twitter tonight as well, which is a nice little touch. But yeah, good for that. Good to see. Gary says discus forearm. That's the word I'm looking for, mate. Thanks for that. But yeah, you got a few questions not regarding the show. And Ryback's been leaving spoilers on YouTube. He's coming back. Look, Gary, we got plenty of streams going forward, mate. I'm sure we can talk about the whole world of wrestling. Don't worry, we'll be here on future streams as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the show overall, mate. I hope you enjoyed seeing. I guess if you're kind of new to AEW, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the stars that I'm sure you would have seen in WWE and what they're doing over in AEW. And it isn't a great representation of what they've done so far. Andrade hasn't had much of a prominent role, and neither is Miro, of course, who comes up, I think, in the next match, actually. But here, again, it also gets the welcome back chance, and he looks strong in the squash. You know, I was commenting on our buddies at Give Me a Whole Year on their channel tonight, and we were saying, you know, Miro crushed it. It felt like the days of Rusev when he was running riot on the main roster in WWE. So, yeah, I really hope this is going to be a good opportunity for him. He looked lean and mean. He looked to be in great physical condition and shape. So it'd be great to see what he does going forward. And you know, that is my only gripe with the show, is that I think he could have been a surprise, or Andrade could have been a surprise. I get that they built up in the past few weeks, but it's like they're kind of just telling us, and I know all the kind of comments are going around the show already of like the split roster almost of, and finally giving people a chance, and that's what the show should be for, but it felt a bit too obvious. I don't know. Very strange. Saying that, great show overall. But anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's go back to the Andrade. Of course, he wins it with the figure 8. He goes to shake Buddy's hand. Lights go out. House of Black attack him. Great way that was shot. I had a few kind of gripes with the way that Double or Nothing was done production-wise. But I did see someone saying on Twitter recently, you know, production is one of those things that nobody notices when it goes well, but when it doesn't, everybody blames them, sort of thing. But I do want to give credit tonight, because I thought it was really well shot, the way those guys were kind of loitering behind him. So that was pretty cool. Going back to the Miro match, looks strong, great squash. Is what it is. Tony Nese got battered, and there we go. Miro looked good. I was really hoping that Lana, CJ Perry was going to come out. I think eventually they got to pair them together, right? They were so good together. But then I thought maybe this isn't the right time, because it could have been turning into this kind of, oh, you need your woman out here and all this stuff on your big return. So, but you know, it would have been a nice return for her as well, back to the business. But hey, we'll see where that goes in the future. We had the Social Outcasts fail to hit their spray and take advantage of it against, Sky Blue, who eventually picks up the win with a great kind of spinning sunset bomb as well. That was a great little match there. Not much to report on the match. Nice little spot. Good tag team match. I think there were reports earlier that Saraya was unable to attend. So, you know, I think making a tag match between the two of Tony Storm and Ruby kind of helped kind of distract from that. So that was pretty cool as well. Next up, Ricky Starks says he's in the Owen Cup. Pretty cool to see that as well. Looking forward to seeing how that goes down. Of course, Adam Cole won last year. So there we go. I guess a little bit of continuity for the story and telling people where we're going next. So that was good. The one thing I really thought was strange about the show was how little they involved promo for Forbidden Door. You'd imagine now on Dynamite we're going to get a lot, because we didn't get much on this. There was a banner in the background. I think it was probably mentioned once or twice. I'm not sure. But yeah, they didn't actually do anything to progress any storylines for Forbidden Door. So I was very shocked to see that, because there's compared to last year, there's not as many matches on the card. It could be a good thing, because I don't want to be up for 5-6 hours watching a wrestling show, as much as I do enjoy New Japan and the wrestling. Next up, we get the Acclaim coming out to a fantastic reaction. Ironically, they remind me so much of the New Age Outlaws with Billy Gunn in their corner. Of course, I saw a great nostalgic clip of the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn earlier today, actually, and just remind me how much I love that side of wrestling, you know, the kind of sing along with a catchphrase sort of thing. And it was ironic just seeing Billy Gunn out there once again. Of course, he's been doing this for a while, don't get me wrong. But great to see that after getting that reminder of him in the late 90s that I had earlier on today as well. But yeah, the Acclaim come out to great reaction. I was kind of expecting there to be a CM Punk reference in the rap or something like that, but there wasn't, from what I remember. But yeah, kind of a safe bet for the rap here. You know, every now and then they come out with a big kind of statement that gets thrown in there and everybody kind of goes wild about. But yeah, not so much tonight, but still a great reaction for those guys, and looking forward to seeing what they are doing going forward. And then of course we get to the main event. We get CMFTR, as they're called now, with matching gear, CMFTR branded gear, and the little pink triangle thing behind it, which is kind of reminiscent of the Heart Foundation, so that's quite nice. Little chance for CMFTR, so they feel like a nice little stable now. And of course, the big part of this match, for me at least, two big things was, one, seeing CM Punk go against a Bullet Club member, an active Bullet Club member, which is kind of wild to think about. Two of them at least, and also go against Samoa Joe. And it was said on commentary that it was 6,518 days since the two of them have been in the ring together, which is mad to think of, especially when Punk was in WWE for so long. And of course, their paths never really crossed after that, because CM Punk leaves and Samoa Joe comes in and spends a good amount of time there as well. So it just reminds you how long it's been since CM Punk was in WWE, and that kind of gap he had out of wrestling as well. But yeah, good to see that. Good to see that history between them kind of reignited. And I don't really know where Punk's going next. I kind of would like to see that. I know some people might look at that as the equivalent of seeing, and I don't mean like stylistically, but I mean as far as like veteran versus veteran, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. And so there's a danger that people start kind of doing that. But I think Joe, even though there are people that are against Punk, because whether they're fans of the Young Bucks and there's just loyalty there, or they just don't like the guy or his work or anything like that, I think Joe's got a massive amount of respect. So hopefully that won't happen. But yeah, I'd like to see something between these two. I thought it was a big deal that they were together again tonight. Lots of jeopardies towards the end with that sleeper hold spot where everyone seemed to be passing out, and Punk looked like he wasn't going to survive for much longer, because he picks up the win in his hometown with a GTS and gets the 1-2-3. But a decent match overall and a decent show overall. My general thoughts, really, just kind of some of the things we haven't touched on. I'd say the Elton John theme song is pretty cool. Saturday, gets me in the mood. feels like a nice kind of throwback intro, really, for wrestling. Almost like a Saturday night's main event or something like that, which I guess is kind of what they might sort of be going for, even though in the logo it's WCW Nitro influence, it would seem. But I like that. I like the presentation. I like the logo. I like the intro, the theme song. I think it's all come across pretty well. The stage looked pretty cool, and it's quite similar to what I've used before, but still enjoyed it. And of course, we had the commentary team of Nigel McGuinness, Kevin Kelly, who I'm a big fan of, and I was so pleased when I was trying to get into New Japan from an English speaking perspective that he was the commentator to kind of help me along the way there, because I was always a big fan of what he did in WWF. And of course, alongside him for this match, at least for the main event, was Jim Ross. Jim Ross earlier today posted a picture of himself with a black eye. I know there's been a few people posted online about concern about that, because that's happened a few times over the past 2 years. And then Jim Ross would also then begin with a very, very rough voice, very hoarse, like I'm live at the moment. I've been live, not to the degree Jim Ross is, don't get me wrong, but I know what it's like to go live and suddenly have a voice out of nowhere that's gone wrong. So I don't know what the reason is behind it. And I felt bad for JR because later on he did acknowledge it, but it wasn't great. And I think if you'd seen what that pitch was online, whether or not they're linked is another issue, but it didn't give off a good vibe, and it was a little uncomfortable. He apologized for that, which made me feel upset and a little uncomfortable as well, because he's a legend, and it's really sad to kind of even say anything negative about JR, because I'm such a big fan of his work, and I think I don't want anyone, I see a lot of discourse about him online these days that really downplays him and his work and his significance in wrestling, which is crazy. I know there have been some issues over the past few years, but anyway, that's another conversation for another day, I'm sure. But either way, it was nice to see JR be part of such a monumental show. It was just strange that it started out with that kind of voice, and I also had that image of his black eye in my head. It was a bit of a shame. But then again, they might not be linked, and the voice got better through the match. So there you go. But other than that, really happy with the commentary team. Nigel McGuinness being in AEW/ROH is great. Kevin Kelly getting the boost up to a big show like this is fantastic as well. And again, even a connection between Kevin Kelly and JR was kind of nice to revisit from an old school WWF fan as well. Speaking of the WWF or E, as we should say, Gary says, I'm mainly into Raw SmackDown, but I guess I need to breach out more. Yeah, Gary, I would say, check out more of AEW. I mean, we've got Forbidden Door coming up soon. That might be a bit of a whirlwind if you're new to AEW, because there's New Japan, which I imagine you don't watch either. So that's two kind of big companies going at it at once, and potentially even more in that as well. But of course, the big one to look out for, especially for us here in the UK, is All In coming up in August as well. So whether you get to go to Wembley or you just watch it, it will be a fantastic show, I'm sure, and a great way to get a lot of people. I think this will be a good way to get a lot of people into AEW that haven't really checked it out so far, especially casual fans or just kind of even Brits that might just go to a wrestling show because they heard Jericho's on it and they liked him in the year 2001 or something like that. Not a dig to Jericho or anything like that, but that's the great thing about having these ex-WWE legends and stuff like that. It's a great way to get eyes on your product, and I think this is the time to use them. But there we go. That was AEW Collision. A good show, as I mentioned earlier on. Nothing blew me away, but I don't know if it was designed to, really. It set a good pace for going forward. I think for me, I might feel a little disappointed because I don't watch weekly shows. I only watch highlights, really, when it comes to both AEW and WWE. So maybe my kind of staying up late on a Saturday night to watch a show expectation is more aligned with a pay-per-view feel. So maybe that's kind of playing into it there. But generally, it was a good show. For a weekly show, it was good. For a debut show, yeah, good as well. I just feel like if there was anything I could change, it would be that there would be a surprise. Would be nice. I guess you can't have surprises all the time, but your first ever show is probably a good time to do something there. Day of the title change, that's a good thing. So that's good for a first ever show, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much the only kind of gripe, really. I think there should have been a surprise within it, because you can't help but think about possibility of, and again, I know some people roll their eyes, but some people be very interested in someone like Goldberg showing up, or I see Gary was saying earlier about Ryback, and of course, that didn't happen either. But even one of the returning stars that we knew were returning for weeks, or it was hinted at least, could have just been a surprise, and that would have been quite nice. But anyway, it wasn't to be, but it was a good show, as I said. Decent matches. The best one was probably Buddy versus Andrade. A promo that people will be dissecting for weeks to come in CM Punk. And a good introduction to a new show. And it's exciting to see a Saturday night show. It's going to be a rocky road in some ways. There are so many benefits to being on a Saturday, but there's a lot of potential pitfalls as well. So let's hope that AEW can kind of work around them, continue to grow. And of course, we've got Forbidden Door coming up soon. So please stick with us on this channel because we'll try and cover that in depth as well. And also AEW All In, of course, here from London, England. As you can tell by my voice, that's where I'm from. And from my shirt, that's where I'm from. But there we go. Thank you for everyone that's watched tonight, whether it be live or on demand. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back in a few days, I'm sure, for more wrestling content. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. We've got interviews with WWE superstars from over the years, other wrestlers outside the WWE, and also plenty of kind of fun content, whether it's me trying on Seth Rollins' suits, or you want to see us talk about how to fix the Hall of Fame. We've got plenty of kind of wrestling content to see you through, whether we are uploading or not. A great kind of back catalog of content as well. But anyway, thank you to everyone that's watched us tonight again, and everyone that's watched us on demand. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.